What's going on, beautiful people of the painting world? This is Aiden Smith, host of the Paint Your Path podcast, and we have a special guest today. We also are joined by my co-host, Mr. Joel Mercado.
Going on.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me, guys.
We got Mr. Cayleb Pletos. I hope I said that right.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're good. It's a little weird. It's Romanian, so it's a little funky.
Romanian.
Nice. I love that. He is founder of Torify, digital marketing agency for painting business owners. And Cayleb has generated millions in revenue for his clients. And he's awesome at what he does. And he's a trusted partner with the Paint Pro coaching. And he's just an awesome guy. So we're excited to have him, pick his brain, and this is going to be a good one.
Awesome. Well, Aiden, Joel, thank you guys both so much for having me. We're here to spill the beans today. All right. Any questions, anything, we're going to open the floodgates and, hopefully provide some value to everyone today.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. Oh,
First off, merch goes hard.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
We're both what, Taurus?
Yep. April 29th on my end. What are you?
22nd. Coming up.
Ooh.
We got the birthday
Nice.
on the pod.
Yeah, we gotta have a little celebration, huh?
There you go.
Yeah, you didn't know we were dropping signs on this one.
No, I didn't.
No.
That's so funny.
Awesome. So, Cayleb, man, tell us. Here's the cool part. I know you work with Aiden, right? So you guys are partnered up with certain things. The cool part is I don't know a lot, so I could be asking a lot of questions, and maybe that'll leave things open. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and how you've been able to help the industry.
Of course, absolutely. So my name is Cayleb Pletos. I'm the founder of Torify. We started about 4 years ago in this marketing world for painting companies. And I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't start this to start a marketing agency for painting companies. We followed what was needed and what we were really good at. Our second client ever at the agency was a painting company. And from that, we, ran their ads. We, generated a lot of sales and leads for them. And we started publishing a lot of our results and, what we did right, what we did wrong, just to kind of document the whole process. And we put all that up on YouTube. And from that, we had a lot of people that would reach out and say, hey, I'm having this same problem. Can you help me, with this? Oh, I'm in this other market over here. Can you help me? We started to notice, hey, there's a real need for these services here. So, we only focused on painting companies from that point moving forward and really doubled down on becoming just really good at our craft in this industry. And then also from that too was born our appointment setting. I'm sure you guys see it all over the place, with your students and stuff like that, but your business is only as good as the systems that you have. And we would have situations where we generate a ton of leads, maybe on Google, on Facebook or something for our clients, but there just wasn't a good system in order to turn those into as many jobs as possible. So, I thought, hey, let's, instead of just giving these people leads, let's call these leads, let's book them into the calendar, have a conversation with them to take care of that appointment setting system. Because if we can get them one step closer, then the likelihood of them closing that job is a lot higher. So that's where that was born as well. Torify was just born out of the struggle, and it was born out of the need. And we followed that path of, where this industry needed help. So that's the gap that we filled with Torify. And that's kind of how it was born.
Dang, dude. So you're kind of like a concierge is what I look at that is like, hey, get the lead, schedule the appointment, close that gap. And then now they just need to show up and do a great job is what they need to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's 3 things that need to happen. You got to get, the lead in the first place. They got to get on your calendar, and then that job has to be closed. We take care of 1 and 2, where, we can call them, qualify them, get them in the pipeline, book them on your schedule. As long as you can show up and close the job, that's where, that torch is handed off there. But it was really just something that we noticed where, hey, there's not a good setting system in place. So if we can handle both of these, where, a lot of companies out there, I think that there's a lot of great marketing companies out there, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have, marketing Jesus with you. If there's not a good system, you're wasting your money, So that's where we wanted to take care of more of that for our clients and fit in there. And because of that, we're usually kind of the best fit for businesses anywhere between like 500 to 1.5 million a year. That's kind of our sweet spot of the guys who need a good system, but probably don't have one. So it's kind of, you get 2 in 1 there with Torify.
Joe, I think you can agree the marketing space for painters has been like the Wild West for a while. Like,
Facts.
I mean, you just hear stories like, dude, guys are popping up with companies and it's either, oh, it was the worst experience or they are the best and changed my life, right?
Yep.
So what have you seen, right? Because like we're obviously affiliated with a few marketers, you know, you have preferred guys, we have preferred guys. You know, what have you seen that's kind of lacking that these marketers need to really start doing?
That's a great question. I think he's already closing that gap right now, right? Because you got to remember, like, first of all, most people, they don't have time. I don't want to say they don't have time. They have the lack of skill to create time to then coach their own appointment setters and have a process and then worry about marketing and looking at the numbers and the KPIs and understanding the set rate percentage and closing ratio. Like everything I just said is too much, too fast for certain individuals, especially when they're just building their business. So, you know, I think the gap that you're closing right now, which is intriguing to me, is like if I were to start another painting company today, what a quick fix that would give me already and a one up than most people in the market are doing, because you're immediately solving two problems for me. Like, boom, appointment set and the lead situation. That's kind of a no-brainer as my entrepreneur mind goes. I go, wow, that's a gap that you're filling and most marketing companies aren't. I've even thought of it myself. I was like, dude, what if I just created a call center? Because I keep seeing that. But here's the cool part. I'd rather have guys like you because I don't want to create another new thing to close a gap. So that's huge, man, because, you know, guys that are listening right now, like, again, you said there's 3 steps. I'm taking care of 1 and 2. That's a one up for a lot of people. So I'm really impressed with that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's,
go
ahead.
Bro.
No, you go ahead, man.
You're the guest.
Okay. All right. Well, and I think one of the big reasons why it is kind of like, you know, that coverall for those first 2 is just because of, I mean, heck, if you call the people on time, if you show up when you say you're going to show up, if you have these couple things in place, somebody following up with your leads, I think we're pretty good at what we do. But even if you have somebody that's just doing it, maybe they're just okay, you're already ahead of 80% of people, you know? So that's just getting someone in there in the first place is like the big, you know, that's where you see the needle move the most, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I love about Cayleb is he's actually aware of the fact that like you could do this yourself realistically. You know, he doesn't shy away from that. And what I like about what his operation is like, he'll give you that option, but he'll say, here's why most people do go with us, because we check all these other boxes, right? We'll run the ads, obviously do a great job. We're going to set the appointments as well. Not only that, we're going to also give you support. I know he has like a school community built out with all these resources. And then he has coaches on like weekly or bi-weekly calls helping their clients out, right? Me being one of them. So you already know that's going to be sauce.
It's fire, yeah.
I think it's one of those things like, man, when you get somebody that gives you the reality, but also just helps you so much, he becomes like one of those partners that does a lot of the heavy lifting. And maybe eventually you get your own admin. I'm sure he'd be super open to that. But it's like one of those things you get to grow with him and he can help you through that process. And I think that's a little bit different than what most companies are doing right now.
Super sick.
I think you guys mentioned something earlier that is super true, and I want to touch on it. There's a lot of people out there now who, you know, like you said, it's the Wild West when it comes to marketing your painting business. And that is something that I just don't agree with at my core in terms of how a lot of these other agencies operate. I don't believe it's the right thing to just shove everyone into one mold and say, hey, you have to do it exactly this way. We have 3 different options when it comes to our services. We have a small, medium, and large. We have like our full service done for you. We set the appointments and we get the leads. We have kind of our middle, which is we just get the leads. Your admin, someone on your team takes care of it. Or we have a third option is we can teach you how to do it, but you got to do the work yourself. Truthfully, at different stages in your business, you're going to want different things. Like I'll give you guys an example. Probably about an hour, 2 hours before, you know, we're doing this podcast, I was on a call with someone. Say, hey, you know, I'm running these myself. I'm getting about a 60% set rate and I'm closing at 40%. You know, can you guys take this over? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but like you're doing pretty good on what you're getting. So it's like, I don't think that somebody like you is going to get like the absolute most value out of us taking this over for you, because I mean, it seems like you're doing great on your own. No, maybe we can take over for other reasons, but I think it's important too to like sell with integrity and truly find the best solution for, the person. We can help you, we can guide you on certain things. So I don't want to just shove every business into one mold, because that's just not how it is. So I think it all starts with like an honest conversation about where the business is at, what the business actually needs, and what are the steps to get there. It's not rocket science. Painting business, there's a way to build a painting business, and there's a way not to build a painting business. You need an admin at some point. Someone needs to answer the phone. Like you mentioned, Aiden, we actually are open to clients having their own admins. And here's kind of the conversation I usually have about that. It really doesn't matter to me if the client is setting their own appointments or we are setting it, but whoever does it has to be good. That's my pitch here.
Yeah.
All right. And truthfully, if you are looking at maybe there's like maybe 2 or 3 other people out there that do what we do, but there's not a whole lot. If you're looking at an agency to get your leads and also set your appointments, then a real conversation you're going to have is that it's impossible for them to know everything about your business as much as like an in-house dedicated admin will be. It's just kind of not going to happen. So for that reason, we tend to lean a little bit more on the side of like booking the appointment, or what we'll do is if somebody has a special question, hey, I have this, can you do my epoxy flooring too? And, we don't know that for whatever reason, we'll reach out, confirm that. But we really excel on the volume. So, we have a full team. They're live 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. So if somebody comes in on Sunday, we're there to call them. We're there to talk to that person.
Wow.
We're there to answer them. And that's really where we kind of excel on that.
Love that, dude.
Yeah.
What pops up in my mind, I mean, first of all, you guys heard it here on Paint Your Path Pod first. Before people start taking your idea, right? But the cool part is it sounds like you not only did you close a gap of a pain with your clients, I'm curious to understand what got you involved in this to begin with. Because when we bring people on here, it's always about the story that created you and why you became the entrepreneur. And I think this is what's going to connect a lot more people to you, right? And understand who you are and why you do what you do. And I like it because I met you at the PCA, man, and like our conversation was really organic and genuine. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot in you, and I was like, man, it's a cool dude. So I'm curious, what happened before Torify?
That's a good question.
What created that? So what's that look like?
So I, ever since I was 16 and read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Okay. That was the path that I wanted to go on. I didn't entirely know what that looked like. I knew I wanted to be independent. I knew I wanted to be a business owner, but I mean, what does it even look like? What business do I go in? Those were kind of the steps that we're missing, which obviously are very important steps. And I was at this point where I had graduated college and I got a job at an accounting firm. I was a tax accountant. Okay. And during this time of, being a tax accountant, I wanted to be a YouTuber. All right.
Ooh, okay.
I love, like, if you know anything about me, like on a personal level, like I am a big nerd for like cars. All right. You'll even see in my office here, I got a bunch of cars and stuff. And I used to have this Corvette that I would make videos with. All right. Like, on YouTube, you'll even see, if you look way back on YouTube, you'll see me doing like a car review of like a new Mustang or something, just whatever, stuff like that. But I am a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Okay. And that was it. That's what I wanted to do. Over this kind of period of me trying to become a YouTuber, I had published somewhere around 250 videos on YouTube. And I gained some traction. I made a little bit of money, but it was not like a real business, And it basically got to this point where I was like, all right, I have got to pivot. Okay. I've done this, and like, this is not a situation where, I made a couple videos. Like, I did 250 videos. Like, I really gave it a shot. Okay. And I was like, all right, we got to pivot. But these skills, creating content, speaking in front of a camera, are valuable. So that sort of transitioned into, and I did some researching online to try to figure out what to do, bought some courses and stuff. But that sort of transitioned into, all right, I got these marketing skills, which we'll call those marketing skills. And I can transition into doing these types of things for businesses. That molded into doing these things for clients. No, we're not filming YouTube videos for them, but we're advertising for them. And the same principles still apply to how you market a YouTube channel versus a painting business to, anything. And I started to get kind of obsessed with providing really good results for our clients. And then from there, it was just, it was basically following the problems, which is like exactly what happened with appointment setting, where, someone would reach out to us, like, there was this one situation, like really early on in the business, where a client was upset because things weren't going, the way they wanted. We did, we looked into the situation, and it was like, they were calling the leads 3 days later, this, and this. And I was like, all right, like there's a problem here. So I was like, all right, appointment setting, we're doing it. We're going to solve this problem. And that's how we do it. And we followed the problems and just, continue to reinvent what we were doing. And that sort of transitioned into Torify today. But I missed a crucial part that was terrible going through it, but I'm so thankful it happened. As I was basically starting the agency, where I was like, all right, in that kind of middle point where I said, all right, I'm going to leave, just trying to be a YouTuber, and I'm going to start this agency, which is about 4 years ago now. It, like, within a couple weeks of that happening, I had lost my job at the accounting firm. So I had this nice stable career, and then it's just out the window. I had zero revenue at Torify. I, didn't really know anything at that point because I was a baby business, and that was my trial by fire moment. It was like, we either do this now and we go through this, or I quit, give up, try to find another job as an accountant that I didn't really like, but it was put food on the table. And that was a situation where I had to go through that in order to become better and come out the other side. You can't just run away from those things. You have to go through them. So happy I did that. You always hear those stories, like Oprah wouldn't be Oprah if she didn't get fired or something like that. That was my moment for me, and taught me a lot. And it was, terrifying going through it, but it was awesome. So happy it happened, man. And funny enough, I didn't make it as a YouTuber, but today our largest source of clients comes from YouTube. Which I just think is a fun full circle moment right there.
When you were saying that, I was like, dude, you could do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you are, right?
Yeah. It's really interesting to see how, like, your skills from the past, come back. But that's the story of where this all came from.
Love that.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you, man.
That's huge. So, a lot of times, our listeners are going through something similar, right?
Yep.
And they're in the storm, they're in the midst, right? They're entrepreneurs going through something, and they get to lean on trusted vendors like you, right? And that's why, like, people we bring on, we trust them, right? We understand that they provide real value and that they got their people's back, because that's who we want to be in the same room with, right?
Yep.
I think it's so interesting. Like, right now, people are always looking for the get rich quick scheme. How can I just get results tomorrow? Right. And then when they do get in, or somebody does say, hey, well, we actually have a good offer and it makes sense, then they don't do the things that they need to actually make it happen. Right. Yeah. And I'm sure, me and Joel know this, we've coached I don't even know how many guys at this point, but like, there are certain things that you can tell them to do. You can bring them to water, right, as they say, but you can't make them drink. And it's like, do you see some of that stuff when people hire you and aren't following through on the promises that they need to be successful?
So that's a great question. I don't think that any of us are ever going to completely get away from that, just because we are, we're coaching people, we're providing services, we're doing things that still rely on them to do something. So I don't think it's going to be, gone forever. But some of the things that we do to really mitigate that and try to make sure that they have the best experience at Torify possible. Number one, it starts with an honest conversation. Okay. I truthfully, try my best in every single call, and my team does as well, to make sure that we are providing the best recommendations for the business, when they get into a discovery call with us. And, if someone decides to get into a call with us and, we have that conversation, I promise I'm not going to hard sell you. I'm here to find the best solution. And if that means that, maybe we're not a good fit to work together, I'd rather have that conversation up front than, hard sell you into the program and then you hate us. That's not what we're really here to do. And we can also provide them with the best chances of success through some of the, recommendations and some of our wonderful partners, like, our partnership with DripJobs. At this point in time, we've referred them over 100 clients, just because of how in need our client base is of some of those systems. Working with Aiden, working with Joel, like you guys are some of our trusted partners. And if somebody needs your services, we're here to hand that off, to make sure that they get the absolute best treatment possible. With that being said, obviously we're not miracle workers. We can't just, we can't change what is under your control. We can provide, we have the school community, we have the coaching, we have the appointment setting. We can literally do like almost everything.
Right.
But that, 15%, 20%, that's like in the business owner's control. We're here to push them along. We're here to help them. But if you don't show up, if you don't use the resources that are available to you, then there's not really a whole lot we can do. Like one of the things that we have is, we have bi-weekly calls with all of our clients. Your account manager will give you a call and say, hey, this is how things are going. This is what we're looking at. Just checking in on your end. How have those leads been? Are you closing jobs? What's going on? And that, as a team, we can collectively work together to make sure that you're getting the best results possible. But if you, don't show up to those calls, there's not really a whole lot we can do. So I would say we do not nearly have that problem as much as when we started, because we didn't fix a lot of the things that need to be fixed, maybe up front, maybe in expectation setting, maybe in some of the resources, but it is a minimal problem now, but it still happens. If somebody signs on with us and they don't do their part, there's nothing I can do,
Yeah.
So that's
Scream that to the heavens.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I always compare us to like personal trainers.
Yeah.
So, we can take you through the workouts. We can show you what to do, but I can't rip the McDonald's hamburger out of your mouth at 2 a.m. Okay. That is your responsibility. If you don't follow the meal plan, if you don't do the workouts, there's only so much I can do, So that's kind of how we are, in that world.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good time to mention DripJobs.
Oh yeah.
Right? One of our trusted partners, right? Obviously. What's the code, Aiden?
Yeah, so it's PATH 60, PATH 60-day free trial. We are all trusted or use DripJobs as a trusted partner. Obviously, they sponsor the podcast. So big up to the Drip and Tanner and his team. We actually met at the PCA at the DripJobs booth, Mr. Cayleb, and he was working the grind shift with Tanner.
Uh-huh.
Tanner scooped him up and was like, yo, I need you to help us with our booth, just like he did for me the first year at PTA.
Oh, yeah.
And we were out there demoing, showing the product, and that's how we go through the ringer. That's how Tanner gets us.
Yeah.
You guys that way.
I remember I was the lead magnet. I had to go up to people and I was like, "Oh, hey, have you guys tried DripJobs yet?" And I don't think I had like a DripJob shirt on, so I just looked like a passerby. And
He leveraged the YouTube content creation ability.
Yeah.
It's been it's great for that. It's kind of a blue ocean right now too, because there's like no YouTube content for DripJobs.
I've been trying to put out YouTube content myself. I know Joel has as well.
Yeah.
I got a question for you when it comes to content. That is something that I feel guys struggle with so much, right? As painters, we ain't the biggest get in front of a camera type of guys. I mean, I am, but like I know a lot aren't, and I try to speak for everyone in our community. But a lot of times I hear, "Hey man, it's hard. I don't feel comfortable." What could you kind of give them, like, because we're always looking for value. Anybody listening is What would you say to them that someone who struggles with that, doesn't love to be in front of the camera? Would you say, hey, bring in somebody in the company, we can help out with certain things? Like, tell us about that.
Oh, that's great. I love this question. I could talk about content all day. Okay, so in general, it's weird. It's weird to be on the street talking to your phone trying to film an ad. It's weird to be in a homeowner's house screaming in front of your phone. Okay, it's awkward. That's just kind of how it is. Okay, but just like anything, with practice you get better, you get used to it, and eventually you'll get to the point where you can just whip out your phone, film a great ad or a great piece of content, and it'll go smoothly. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. I mean, just like if I don't film a YouTube video for a little while, I get rusty, I stumble on my words, I feel a little like I'm not quite in it. You start to be more like focused on what you say, and you just kind of get better at it. Like it's a skill, just like anything else, So that's kind of thing number one. There are some things that you can do that I do all the time when it comes to filming content. I film a lot longer stuff. Yes, we do our ads, but like I'm doing a 15-minute video on DripJobs top 10 features, whatever, so those are a little bit more thick. But if you're filming just like an ad or something like that, the best piece of advice I can give you is to know what you're going to say before you turn on the camera. I like to do bullet points. Okay. So if I have these 5 things I want to talk about, like let's say I'm filming an ad, for a painting company. All right. Bullet point 1 is intro. Bullet point 2 is showcase the cabinets that you just painted. Bullet point 3 is talk about the homeowner's experience. Bullet point 4 is talk about your other reviews. Bullet point 5 is the call to action. Okay. So like, know what you are going to say. It's going to make it so much easier when you turn on the camera. Then I like to just kind of fill in the gaps freestyle wise. I don't personally like to script word by word, hey, this is exactly what I'm going to say, but I like to have in there what I'm going to talk about. Okay. So if I, were to be filming a creative or something like that, list out those things. You can even get like a teleprompter app on your phone so that you can just look right at it there. That allows me to not stumble on my words as much, to know what I'm talking about, and just be a little more confident in what I'm saying, so I'm not also thinking while I'm saying it. That's what I like to do. You get better at it. Some people like to script it out word for word. And, maybe the first couple times, say it word for word. Get a little excited, put a little pep in your step when you're saying it, but you get better at it. You get more comfortable on it. And also too, like you just got to do it. It's not, you got to go to the gym and pick up the dumbbells. Like there's no great way to do it the first time. You just got to kind of suck the first couple ads and then you get better.
Yeah.
So those are my tips on that.
Well, I love that you're mentioning this because I hear this all the time from my clients. Well, they want more ads. They want more content. And I don't feel like doing it. Well, I don't feel like waking up at certain times sometimes, but I still got to go do it. Right. And I think what a lot of guys don't understand when it comes to your guys' world and the marketing side is like, I can only help you as far as you're able to help yourself. Right. And we keep mentioning that. So, the importance of content and consistency of doing something different and adding more to it, that's still relevant. Is that correct? Like still.
Oh, 1,000%.
Content? Yeah. Okay. The reason why I ask is because like I think these guys have the mindset of like, okay, I gave them 5 creatives. That should be good for 6 months. And I think a lot of people don't realize there is such thing as content fatigue, seeing the same thing over and over again and repeating the same thing over. People start to kind of ignore that. Is that still kind of the case right now?
That is 1,000% true. Okay. And just like you mentioned, I would love every single person on this podcast to check out Torify and potentially work with us. But at the end of the day, if you don't give, us, your marketing agency, proper tools to, do their job, they can't polish a turd. They can only re-edit the same video so many times. Yeah. And you do need to be different in the content that you're making because different types of content, yes, there is content fatigue. They'll eventually, fatigue out depending on your area, how many people you're targeting, blah, 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 blah. There's different reasons why. But another reason too is that different ads are going to reach different people. The macho police officer that wants his house painted is probably not going to look at the same ad as like the single mom with 2 kids. They're going to appeal to different people. They're going to like different things. And if you give the algorithm more choices to pick from, it's going to show that type of ad to that type of person. The person who wants exterior painting versus cabinet painting, versus just drywall or whatever, they're going to be looking for different things. So the more options you give in general, the better it's going to work out for you. And you can only see the same ad so many times before it stops working its magic. And in your ads too, it's important to be different. You want to show something that people haven't seen before or makes them stop. A couple of things that we like is film your ad in a spot that is like locally famous. So if there's like a park or maybe a road sign or something that might not mean a whole lot to like the general public, but people in your area, maybe they walk their dog at their park. Instantly, they're like, oh, hey, I play with my kids at that park. This guy must be my neighbor. He must be cool because I like him.
That's game.
That's one right there. Another one is do something different in your ad that makes people actually stop the scroll. This is not 4 years ago where most painting companies weren't running Facebook ads. This is different now. Your competitors are probably much more advanced than they used to be running Facebook ads. So you got to be more different. You got to have more creative type of content. An ad that has been working pretty well for our one of our clients right now is his daughter, who's like 11 years old, has like, you know, the white overalls on, and she has like the paintbrush, and she's like, hey, have my dad come paint your house, blah blah blah. And
Wow.
that's awesome,
That's
because when you think,
clutch, dude.
yeah, when you think of a painting company, you do not think of an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So it just be different, you know.
Painting's
That's
emotional.
it is. It is, you know.
Yeah. I'll make it very,
Yeah.
very clean and simple. I'll look right in the camera, right? Make your content, okay? This isn't a this or that. This is a this and that problem. Make Caleb's life easier. Make every marketer's life easier. And if you really want to hit your goals, make your content. They're like, yo, I want to grow my business, but they don't want to record a few videos to showcase their work and show why they're different. Have them sold before you show up. Make your content. All right. So hopefully
Absolutely.
that reach somebody.
Yeah, 1,000% true. And if you don't do it, your competitors probably are.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It's so funny that you said that too, because my best performing ad right now is my son. And it's just him saying, hey, Dad, what are they doing over there? And I just explained, hey, we're working. We're saving them a lot of money because they don't have to replace their entire stucco and blah, blah, blah. So it's like I hit a lot of things there, right? I made, you know, I showed light to a problem that they may be having or thinking about. I solved it, made it logical for them and emotional. So I literally checked off all the boxes. And when you start thinking of your content in that way, you start to make different content and it works better, right? Like there's certain things that like you can start off with a negative hook. The number one thing you want to avoid when painting your house is that's going to capture someone's attention right there.
Facts.
So like you said, get creative, leverage AI too, right? Hey, Claude, give me 10 scripts that are local to my area that people may be dealing with, blah, 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 and then go through them and see which one catches your eye.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you recommend AI to your guys?
So we don't currently do like full on create like AI ads. We don't really do like
No, I'm just saying like, hey, here's our scripts, but I think you can integrate that right now. Here's a couple prompts that we
have about 15 scripts that we give our clients that kind of rotate depending on, you know, their need or what's going on. We have built some of those, you know, through AI, but we try to keep it relatively simple for our clients. We're just like, hey, just use this. You know, we tend to do that for them as much as we can. And we do actually also have a call with them. You know, every month there's a how to film ads call. I run that call where I literally just go over, hey, we're going to make great ads. You can come to the call. You can talk about a script I'll write a script for you live in front of everyone. You know, we'll do that together. I think that AI is great in terms of like writing that. We tend to just, you know, say, hey, here, use this one because we made it for you already. But yes, you are 100% true. If, you know, you can use AI to start the conversation, get 90% of the way there for your script and come up with those types of ideas.
Well, I think with everybody using chat right now, if they took your script and just put the script in chat GPT and said, hey, make this in my voice, now it'll become very creative for them so they feel like this is me. Because I know for me, I don't do any scripts. Every time a videographer tells me, Joel, we're going to script this, I'm like, nah, we're not.
Yeah.
Give me the subject. Tell me what you want me to talk about. I'm going to rip because that's what I do. And when I do scripts, I seem very disingenuous because you can just tell like I'm reading and it doesn't sound like Joel. So I think what Aiden's doing, combining what Cayleb and Aiden's are talking about, is take Cayleb's script, put it in your chat GPT because it knows your voice, and turn that into more of you. Is what I'm taking away, right? Like, is that what you're kind of insinuating?
Yeah, I mean, look, just any way AI can help, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. And I think, you know, there's even more creative ways, right? You could hire, I know that one painter, the franchise, they pay for like every single company that has a franchise with them can use their ad pool, right? Because most areas deal with the same stuff, peeling paint, faded paint, right? Unsatisfactory painters. So they basically make content with paid actors, and then you can pull anyone to run the ads. So I think that's a play you can do as well. You can have an entire like acting team come out and give you content, brand it with your stuff. Yeah, it'll cost you probably a couple grand, right? Just ballpark, and I never looked into it. But this is what I'm seeing now as a trend, and it's working. So if you know, hey, content is the way, but I'm not the biggest content guy, that's where you come kind of void that gap. Or did I say that right? Fill that gap.
Void that gap. Yeah.
Or you could hire Joel, Cayleb, and Aiden. We'll fly out and do
Come on.
ad.
Yeah, we'll rip right there.
Dude,
I
that'd be
love
awesome.
Awesome.
Dude, content is king. Tell you that.
One of our favorite strategies right now when it comes to content is calling out the thing that you're uncomfortable with, and like calling out that elephant in the room that your client base is having. Like another one of our good ads right now is called "I hate dealing with contractors," where we just go over the reasons why the local homeowners are like, "Oh, I got burned in the past. I know someone that was, just worked with someone that didn't have a good business, was." Didn't have their shit together, and you can fill that gap because you actually have really good services, you have a system, you have a team, and it's not, they can see how your way is so much better. So it's just, calling out the elephant in your ads and whatever that might be.
I have a quick exercise we can go through real quick.
Ooh,
Let's figure out the Mount Rushmore of lead services and lead generation.
Ooh.
What does that look like? Let's all like think about the top 4 ways that painters can get leads.
Okay.
From the experts.
One of them's got to be LSA.
Google local service ads.
All
right, real quick, stop there.
Yeah.
Why Google local service ads and why not Google ads?
Okay. So,
and what's the difference?
So, all right, we'll start from the top on that one. So we don't really run any PPC for our clients. For the most part, our split for them is LSA and Facebook ads. All right. Local service ads, every single person, listening to this should have that on. There's literally no reason why you shouldn't have it. It is a low barrier to entry, as long as you're licensed, insured, or, whatever, depending on in your state. And that's basically it. You got to have a Google profile. Another reason why it's such a low barrier to entry is because you only pay per qualified lead. So if I call Aiden and I say, hey man, I'm looking for a job, he doesn't pay for that lead. But if I, call and ask for something that he provides, he would. Or if I call him and I say, hey, I'm looking for roofing, and he's like, hey man, we don't do that, he wouldn't pay for that lead. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty low barrier to entry. You're probably, depending on your market, depending on your competitors and stuff, you're probably not going to get like an insane amount of leads, but they'll be pretty good quality, So that's usually step one. That's
George Washington.
Yeah, that's George Washington. Not gonna be insane. PPC is more of like a 2 million plus play.
Okay. So what you're referring to is Google pay per click.
Correct.
The big boy ads, right? Because yes. I know companies that are like doing 500K and they're like, yeah, I hired a guy and he wants me to run Google ads and all this stuff. And I'm like, bruh, who did you hire?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got pushback before, like, hey, in certain markets, it actually works. And like, maybe, but I always see Google as like hey, I made it. I got a great system. Things are flowing. We just need to ramp it up with quality leads. I'm willing to spend a little bit more because I know we can close them and they're going to be premium. That's when you activate the Google ads.
Yes, absolutely. And another reason why Google ads, the pay-per-click, why that can be so challenging is because these days, Thumbtack, Angie, all of those guys are also running Google ads in your area. So you're bidding against, these huge, massive companies for the same exact lead, which is just not, usually the most cost-effective way to do things. Yes, over 2 million or so, it tends to make more sense. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So I don't think PPC goes on the money.
What do you think, Joel? What's
other lead gens or the same one on Google?
No, another one. We got George Washington, Google local service ad. What's Lincoln? I think Lincoln's next to him or something.
For me, I would say networks.
Networks
with an X, and it's back, baby.
Mm-hmm.
When I used them probably about 5 years ago, they were super effective. And then about 2 years ago, they went down the drain and now they're back up and running really good. I've been getting really great qualified leads from them.
Wow.
So,
okay. For me, that's not one that's known as much. Are we sleeping on networks?
Y'all are sleeping on networks right now. They're back.
Okay.
I've actually heard that before, Joel.
Wow.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got networks. We got Google local service ads. We got to have Facebook. Right?
Yeah, gotta have Facebook up there.
Sheer volume alone. And here's the cool thing, right? It's like Google local service ads. Yeah, of course, you need reviews. Your profile's got to look good, but like they're going to come through. Whereas Facebook, you can crack the code. And we've seen guys have $10 cost per lead and just racking it up. I mean, shattering records. Like we've seen company giving out awards for doing this kind of stuff. I personally have coached a guy who's done $1 million by himself in Facebook ads, leads and all that. Yeah. And it's just one of those things, man. Once you figure it out, and this is exactly why you pay the agency, because I could run my own ads. It'll be okay. But I'm not there tweaking everything, just the smallest setting could make the biggest difference. And I think that if you crack that code, man, it's just like a waterfall. So that's got to be up there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What would number 4 be?
I would say, Cayleb, what do you got on number 4?
What do you think? Yeah, you're the lead generation expert.
Let's think about this for a second. I would say,
what are our contenders? We got Angie, Yelp,
Angie ads and Angie leads.
Angie leads, ads, Yelp. We got Thumbtack. We got, I know I'm missing one.
I think for the 4th, I'm going to say vans and yard signs. I'm going to put those up there.
Vans and yard signs. Kind of wrap
because
company.
You're in the ideal neighborhoods if you're giving quotes and so on. They really help with being, familiar with your ideal clients. You can also retarget those areas, with your Facebook ads or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they can be used for, as just part of your general overall content strategy. So I'm actually going to say vans and yard signs for that one.
I'm going to disqualify that one. Not that it's not good.
Okay. All right. Because,
in the
more
tech
platforms.
space.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we add door knocking, we add all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I think strictly I love the networks, because if Joel is, we're doing some research on this to verify, but if Joel is legit and he got the sauce, we got 3 hot contenders. We need another one that's we can rely on this one.
All right. So you said Thumbtack, Angie, or some other ones?
Yelp, the 2 Angies. I feel like we're missing one, like a big one.
I feel like we are.
Just, on the tip of my tongue. Let me actually Google this real quick. Give me, stand by 2 minutes.
Gosh.
Top online lead gen sites for painters. We're going to find this out on the pod right now. Let's do this. Come on. Here are the top online. All right. Angie, Home Advisor, Thumbtack, House, Yelp, Google Local Service Ads, Nextdoor, Porch, Bark, TaskRabbit. It says, my honest take, LSA. It says, that's awesome.
Honestly, this is where my brain goes, and it depends on, here's the other thing. Where are you in revenue, right?
Yeah, that's a good question too.
My play when I first start a company is so different than when I'm running one that's already $1 million plus. It shifts dramatically.
True.
So my number of what I would do is different, but I would say after networks for me, I would shoot for Angie leads.
I was going to say Angie. I feel like you have to by default. It's just been such a staple for contractors. Yes, there's horror stories. I even have my own, even though I use them today. They're just one of those things that you're going to be able to 10X if you have a decent sales. You probably have to go through a bunch of appointments, pre-qualify, but you'll 10X if you put in the work.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts on Yelp too?
I like Yelp.
I used to be a Yelp partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've actually helped clients onboard with Yelp. How do I word this? I'll keep it simple. I think it depends in the area you're in.
Definitely.
Because I've coached different states and I've seen 0, like a big fat 0 for some of them. And right now I have a client in Orange County, California, where that's their main lead source right now, which is Yelp. Wow. So I've seen from 0 to amazing results. So you kind of have to test it. Yeah. So I try to stay away from now pushing Yelp so much because I've seen the complete polar opposite for certain clients where I see consistency with networks and Angie.
Honorable mention for Yelp. And I think if you're going to do Yelp, number one, you can't get reviews that are fake. Whereas Angie, you can kind of, not fake, but you know what I mean? From other platforms, Google, you can't import them. Yes. They have to be legit through the platform, which kind of hinders you. So it's a longer term game. I would recommend meeting with a specialist, right? So hop on a call with them. They'll tell you what triggers, what attracts clients, and they're pretty legit. They'll actually tell you what works and help you out. We've just found you get more volume and better success on other platforms, but it's still one to have. As I grow, that's going to be the first one I look at and say, let's hop back on that actually.
Yeah. I agree. Love it.
Sweet. We got a few more minutes. Cayleb, appreciate you coming on. A lot of good stuff. What else do you want to share with our community? What final words you got?
Well, I'll say this. If, anyone here listening today is hey, I really got to lock in on, my Google and more importantly, my Facebook, get a good system in place to get those leads qualified and on my calendar, booked right into DripJobs or whatever else you're using, reach out to us. We'd love to have a chat and just find out what would be the best solution for you on that. Or if not, that's fine too. We're here to...
Discovery call?
Yeah, just for a discovery call. Or if you want to check out our YouTube channel, we have a ton of content, case studies, testimonials, all that stuff, based on what we do and a little bit how we do it as well. If you'd like to check that out, that stuff's all free for you. Or you can hop in a discovery call. We'll chat about how we can do that for you personally.
Love that. So where can they find you? Like,
I would go to so www.torify.com, and there's a little link there. You can book a call with us. Either it'll be with myself or somebody from my team, and we'll go through kind of just what your current situation is, offer some recommendations on how you can grow, how you can improve from there. And if it makes sense for us to work together, we'll talk about that. If we also offer exclusivity for our clients, so if our service area is open in that area too, we'll chat about that, and then talk about it from there to see if we'd be a right fit to work together.
Love it.
Yeah.
And you have anything else?
Yeah, Cayleb is one of our trusted partners here at Paint Pro Coaching. I've seen him get amazing results for our clients. I also come on his calls every month to help support his clients. So you get that coaching aspect as well. And you heard all about his offer here. We're going to drop his discovery link also in the description so you can connect with him and look into his content. He has like a lot of free game out there. His YouTube, tons of YouTube videos. And appreciate you coming on, brother. We're going to drop that. And Joel, let's end it with a quote, brother.
Yes, sir. So let's see here. Every brush stroke is a decision. Every decision paints your future.
Paint the path. On to the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.